Hello everyone, I'm just getting all my little bits and pieces ready. There we are, we're ready to go. So welcome to Beauty and Business, and I'm Mel Wilson, and I'm here to speak with you about our theme that we've been talking about the last two sessions at Beauty and Business, which is about that very intimate relationship and how that helps you to be at the top of your game when it's flourishing. And, some women would say, well, it doesn't bother me. I can be at the top of my game and I don't have to, be worried about my intimate relationship. But if you ask yourself that question when you're in a very quiet space, when you give yourself a moment to just sit without any interruptions, you're really in a peaceful place, and ask yourself truly, would you rather be in a flourishing relationship where love is just pouring into your bond, that well, and or would you rather be in a relationship where everything is just contracted, uncomfortable, you're just not, your well is empty? And or would you rather be on your own? I mean, you've got to ask yourself these real questions. And the only thing that's going to get you to the place where you're going to be really clear about it is honesty. When you start to actually get very, very honest about what you really want in your heart, not in your mind. Remember, your mind needs training. That's what we're doing, we're retraining the mind. The heart, when it's soft and it's open and it knows what it wants. It wants to extend love. It wants to give love. It wants to be loved and be loved. And in fact, it doesn't even really need to be loved because it's so in love with love, believe it or not, that being what it is, its essence, that it just wants to, it's like a love pouring down from a mountain. That's when you're in your true inner essence. There's such a wholeness and an abundance there that you're not in lack at all. And this is where I have issues with this whole idea of manifestation and The Secret, and I just don't get any of that. Someone once said to me, "Oh, you're a natural manifester, Elle," and I thought, "Oh yeah, am I? Well, okay, but is that what I want to live for? Is that really where it's at?" So for me, no, it really isn't. I mean, there's deeper, more profound meaning that I'm looking for, and that is, how can I be at the top of my game and honestly be able to give love to others, and if I receive love back, be completely open to that. Because someone that is giving love doesn't have a fear in receiving it. They receive just as profoundly as they give, but not because they need it. It's just part of how the universe works. You're giving and you're receiving. You have to open up to that mechanism, that code inside of yourself, to step out of suffering. And when you're suffering, when you're not really getting what your deepest heart, your heart's desire really is, you're not at the top of your game. Even if you think you are, there's so much more that you're missing out on. You're not using those superpowers that I talk about every now and again. You have them. You don't have to go to Marvel Comics to enjoy, the superheroes. You have your own superpowers, and love is one of them. Love heals. Love creates change. Love can create miracles. Miracles happen in the midst of true love, not Disneyland love, but real love. So in your intimate relationship, one of the things that I would compel you to do, and I did this actually with Toby, it was very, very interesting, because we have a working relationship as well as being a husband and wife. It is intense at times. And when I'm in my lack identity, nothing will work. It just doesn't. We're not doing well in ourselves. To the outside world, we're doing great, and we are to some extent, but we're not fulfilled in our hearts. And for me, that's the key. Why do I care about external success if my heart's not in the right place? So when those times would happen, and of course under the pressure that we're under, because of what we're building internationally, and so much that so much of the value that we add, and so much that we're giving in True Brow and in the beauty industry, those times do come, and they just don't last as long as they used to. Once upon a time, when we first got together and we started working together, you have here the analyst, you have the visionary on the other side, and Toby has a bit of all of these parts inside of him, and you had them like that clashing, heads clashing. And then we worked out some bits and pieces of that, and it was fine. And then we went deeper, we went bigger, there was more stretching, clashing again. And we had to work it out again, and then we had to work it out again and again, and until you just keep going deeper and deeper. This is lifelong. And then at some point, it's like, oh, wow, how did we get here? This is amazing. This was great. We can do this. And one of the things that I want to share with you, most of you are not working with your husbands, so they have time at work, and then they come home, and you've got your time at work, and you come home. One of the things that about connecting and finding a way to communicate with each other, if you're finding a lot of difficulty with communication, there's some wonderful books called Nonviolent Communication, which I love, and I can't remember who wrote them, but go look for them. Go and get a book that's going to teach you how to communicate without violence, because every time you have a bad thought about your partner, you're being violent. You're being abusive. Because every time you think that he should be different to how he is, he should change, he needs fixing, there's something wrong with him, it's just a violent thought. Love can't possibly be in that equation, because love doesn't have those thoughts. You've got to know the difference. You can't be in the middle, otherwise you're going to be in middle ground. You're going to have all these masks, even in your relationship. And when you get things come around your way, you're going to be happy, and when they're not your way, you're going to be unhappy, and the same's going to go for him. So do you want to be the pillar? Do you want to be, what I loved it in that movie, what was it called? Oh my goodness me, I can't even remember, but at the end of it, one of the characters said, I'm the kingmaker, because, this guy was saying to her, why didn't you do so much with your life? Why did you give all of your life to him? Why is he the one that's in the bright lights, and so on and so on? And she just turned around and she said, I'm the kingmaker. So do you want to be the kingmaker? Do you want to demonstrate to this other side of your life, this other part of your life, this deeply meaningful part of your life, how incredibly amazing love is, and how to be with you? Do you want to set the terms of your intimate union, your bond, that well? It's your call. But the first thing you have to see is there is middle ground, which is filled with masks. We mask ourselves. Identities are, we're happy when we're getting what we want. We're unhappy when we're not. We're in this polarized kind of situation. And then there is higher self, your higher self, true love, Snow White, here she goes, here she comes, pure, real and honest. That is you. You have that inside of you. That's in the center, in the core of your heart. And then there's the other side, which is the lack. And of course the mask comes from the lack, because it's always trying to micromanage and figure things out and be what the other person wants her to be or not be, or all those kinds of things, always maneuvering. You've just got to know what that looks like, so that you can draw yourself away from it. Otherwise you're going to be in there until the day you die. It's just a choice. But what you can actually draw from this love well, this bond, you can draw so much out of it, and you'll be a happier human being. You'll reduce your stress levels. You'll have the love that you really desire deep in your heart, because you know what that's like, because it is part of you. It's your essence. You know what true love is like. You've just been blinded. A lot of the time we get blinded by the stories of fairy tales and movies and love songs. We've got to grow up and to have this intimate relationship working. This is what I decided to do. So this is a takeaway. I actually had someone present to me disc profiling, and I'd had them present that to me a long time ago, someone, and I had a look at it and it was fine, and I thought, oh yeah, that's really good, that's me. Disc profiling is like a way to profile personality types and constitutions in a way, from the perspective of the personality. So, I looked at that, but recently someone else actually brought a deeper version of disc profiling to Toby and myself, and we started to explore our disc profiles. And I could see that I was a DI, very predominant level, right on the line of DI, and Toby was a CD. So, we could very easily, because of our profiles, clash. Even though we have this incredible, they say the power couple, there is that in the both of us, so much, but you have to learn how to use the power for it to actually be able to create in the world and to manifest in the world. So it was really beautiful to look at ways, first wanting to be able to communicate effectively, wanting to make sure that the friction points and were not in our day. I wanted that more than anything. Like for me, I love my husband. No, it's so important for me to learn how to deal with when he's under pressure, the parts of his personality that come out. What do I do with those? Do I take them personally? Do I go, okay, he must be under pressure? Am I thinking of him or am I thinking of me and my feelings? I mean, someone can trigger feelings and emotions in you. Let's say emotions, they can trigger emotions if they say something or behave a particular way, but they can't make you hang on to those emotions and turn them into a grievance, into resentment, into bitterness. You do that all by yourself. So for me, this disc profiling was fantastic because I could take a look and I would think, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's how Toby does behave. And then, when he's under pressure, that's how I behave when I'm under pressure. Well, I can see how that doesn't work. So what would I do? And it actually went into great detail to explain how you could approach that person at that time. Now, a lot of the time, Toby and I don't need that. We don't need to be using these kinds of things because we can go very directly to the bond, very directly to the love. And it's unnecessary. But because we work together, and we have different roles and identities that really come into play during the day, it's so helpful. So then there's the Destiny book that I talk about a lot, which I love so much, and you should look into buying that, and I'll see if I can include it into the link. I know Amazon has it. It's a very big book. And the Birthday book, two great books, and you can go in and look at each other's destiny paths, and you can see, what are the weaknesses of your husband's and what are yours and what are the strengths, and really start to relate in a way that takes away the emotion and don't use it against each other. Use it to empower the bond, to fill the well so that you can know how to work with each other better. These are just little strategies. Ultimately, when you retrain your mind with me and you get to a place where your mind is not your 7-year-old inside of you, which is your default sort of position that you go to when you're under enormous pressure a lot of the time, and that goes for all of us, starts to lessen and lessen, you won't even need strategies anymore because naturally you'll know what you're living for. You'll know what you want more than to be right. You'll know what it feels like to be truly loved and loving. You'll know the difference. You'll know what it's like when your children are just falling into this beautiful well often and coming and taking a sip of love and stepping away. You're going to see the value of the bond, the value of the well being full rather than being all contracted and dehydrated and awful. So, all of these things are really, really important. But disc profiling, the Destiny book, the Birthday book, also the personality styles. Go in and type in the 16 personality styles in one of the internet browsers and they'll come up. Do that. Find out about who you're living your life with, who you're sleeping with every night, who is he, how does he react under pressure, how do you react under pressure. Make a little way of looking at things with each other and having a little chat about it every now and again. But remember, it isn't about getting it right. It's about being that loving, extraordinary, beautiful woman that you are. And if you don't believe that that's who you are, then go and create an identity around a person that is that. What is a woman that knows how to love like? What is she like? What would she is, let's just say I am. Identity is an I am. I am a beautiful, loving, kind woman, strong woman. Okay, so what would the values of that woman be? How would she act? What are the beliefs that would surround her? Have a look at her behaviours. Create her. If you don't believe it, which, it's the reality of the human race. We don't believe these things. So create her. Make it your job to create her. Design her. And keep moving towards leaning into being that part of you, because in reality, that is what you are. You're not faking it. You're not doing positive affirmations. You're actually just shifting that identity back to its rightful place. You don't need fixing. You need an identity shift. You need actually an orientation shift. You need to actually turn and go, just a little few degrees. Whoa, that feels really good. I haven't been here for a long time. I haven't been here before. And that's what you want to offer to your husband, to your children, to your loved ones, to your clients. That's the flow that naturally, attracts quality people, quality clients, quality friends, and you have that in you. And Nonviolent Communication, beautiful book, Clean Language, is another amazing study of how to be able to communicate with each other. Look into these things if you're having difficulty, and go and get help if you're having real difficulty, because these are real things. We do get ourselves in binds sometimes, and if we do need real help, we need to look out and reach out for it. If there are people that you're talking about your husband about, and these people keep perpetuating and reinforcing that how bad he is, and yep, you're the best, and he shouldn't do that, and this and that, try and pull back from those kinds of conversations, because any conversation that is about another person and isn't actually about your power and what you can do to actually make yourself happy is not a worthy conversation. I love being with you. Thank you so much for listening. We have one more of these amazing vlogs to do, and then we're going to be stepping into the parenting role for the female entrepreneur. We're going to talk about guilt. We're going to talk about, does it have a place? We're going to talk about what's it teaching us, what's it showing us, and how ultimately to be rid of it forever. But for next week, we're going to go into a very, very special, and the last one, of course, for this particular theme, which is the intimate relationships with the key people in our lives. We're going to go into a beautiful, not so much strategy. We're going to go a little bit deeper and a little bit more profound, and we're going to find ways that we can reconnect where we've disconnected. I think that's really important. Take care. Have a fantastic week. It's Elle here, signing off.